Welcome back, everybody, to EU League. It's game number 1 to kick off Playday number 4. TT9 ESPORTS versus Natus Vincere on the other side. Welcome back. Let's have a chat about it. I'm Milosh on the analyst desk. With me, our fresh and extra troika, our guests for the next couple of weeks here in EUL and APAC North. Happy to have you here, both boys. Let's talk about the two squads, starting off with TT9. Jack, what's up with them?
What's up with TT9? Well, I don't want to say this, but they're the only team in the league that don't have any points yet, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. And I think, you know, they obviously did struggle through stage 1, stage 2, sitting bottom of the overall leaderboard. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit buffed now that, you know, they can already look towards next year with the announcement of no relegations. And I think that TT9, they have made some improvements. I don't think the improvements have necessarily been good enough to run with the other teams, but they have made some improvements.
They haven't been good enough to get games, have they? Yeah. They haven't been able to get points yet. 3 losses, 2 close games given, you know, against Navi and Heroic. There was 7-5, so not beyond the realms of possibility for them to look at walking away with a point there. But it's that inability to close out the game that is becoming a little bit of a problem now. And if that starts to become a very consistent theme, there's going to be some serious warning signs. For me, Fresh, one-man team. Yeah. It's blatant. It's obvious. There's no other way of putting it. A mission is a one-man army at this point. It's so hard
to look at it and not see it as that as well. And they're trying to get around it. That's the biggest thing for them. They're trying to get around it. They're trying to make Exodus play alongside a mission to make them play as a 2. They're trying to put Cypher a little bit more forward in a frontline role. But unfortunately, we've got another situation yet again with this team where there's one guy that's having a great time, he's getting loads of kills, and he's positive, and the rest of the team, they're dropping negative numbers. And, you know, when Exodus wakes up, or when Cypher wakes up, they'll be a good team and they'll beat people, but they're just not quite there yet. I
think watching him, I don't know if people still remember this, it's only been a couple of weeks, but that ace in Basement Chalet, that was beautiful. Every part of it. We were sitting back watching it here in the studio. Of course, the casters were screaming the brains off here, but we were in our own room and kind of just... Hold on, and then he wins it. Everybody was screaming all over the studio. It was fantastic. It's beautiful to see. So there is a lot of skill involved in there. It's just putting together the players to actually make it work. You can't rely on one person to bring you the points, although their games have been, like you said, Ollie 7-4, 7-5, 7-5. We'll get to see how they play against Navi on the other side. What is with this Navi here? Because we were saying that this team actually came out with some pretty good roster changes, Ollie.
It's almost like there's a little bit of a recipe for success here, Mil.
Yeah.
And the recipe for success is to take players from NPL or Tier 3. Because that does seem to be what is working for a lot of these teams. You look at somebody like Leader and the impact that he's had coming on into Navi. For me, Navi are getting in toward more of a final form team. They've spent quite a lot of time in almost a bit of a transitional period, but if you look at the experience that they've got on the roster now, you look at players like Kayak, you look at players like Nathan, that experience guiding those slightly younger gunners is a recipe for success, and it's something that we see consistently work.
It's crazy how you think about that this roster is such a young roster. It's full of guys that are 18, 19, 20 years old. And then you talk about that international experience on Nathan, on Kayak, who, you know, Kayak was G2, the Mexico major. Nathan Navi with, well, I want to say Sweden, went to Invitational. I remember seeing him in Sweden at one point. And it genuinely is, like you said, it's like final form. It's looking towards next year. This team could genuinely be really scary. They feel very well balanced. They're very competitive. They've not picked up clean wins or anything yet. You know, they might still struggle in games and situations at this stage, but looking towards next year, this team could be a scary one.
I want everybody, just so we add a moment of humor, I guess, in this. Look at Kayak in the center. Really look into his face. He looks like if Stokes was from the UK.
He's glowing, isn't he?
He is. Stokes is a handsome man. Kayak's a handsome man. There you go. Put it together. That's all you need to know. Anyways, moving on then. We have a head-to-head for this matchup. One player from each one of these two teams, and I'm wondering what my beautiful analyst picked for this matchup. Show us the money, production. Let's see how it goes. It's Amision and Skitty. Now, you talked about Amision, but why Skitty?
Well, both of them. And I think, you know, if we're looking at the context of this game and where it might be won or lost, I think one of the main places it will be won or lost is in the entry battle. And these are currently two of the best entry players in the league. They're up there, both of them in the top 5 for entry statistics. You'll see Skiddy just edging out towards a mission there. And I think both, play similar roles, both prolific on their teams as well. And that's why we wanted to throw it up as a head-to-head.
I think for me, again, it comes down to this one-man army approach from TT9, where we don't want to see a mission go 1 versus 9 here tonight. We want to see him have a little bit more of his team behind him. And with good stats often comes a good element of team play. He's not going out there and getting the kills on his own, but that is costing his team in other areas, where on the other side it's coming a little bit easier for Navi.
So there it is from the 2 players. If you have anybody else at home just thinking, these are also players I'd like to look at in the future, then let us know. We're open to all your suggestions on socials and in the chats. But moving on to that, take a look at which map we're going to be playing in this series to kick off our Playday. So 9-map pool, 8 are out, and we're left with Clubhouse, a classic. Everybody should be able to play it. TT9 will have that final say. And they're starting off on the attacks. Navi has picked up defense. You got any numbers to help out, Jack?
Yeah, so normally with TT9, teams are able to expose their shallow map pool a little bit. Navi's not one of those teams because Navi don't like Chalet. They also don't like Bank, which are 2, pound bans, what TT9 would try and get away from. They did actually play each other on this map in, I want to say it was stage 1? It was stage 1, where Navi ended up winning.
Completely different universe.
Very, very completely different meta universe, but a little bit of history. But Clubhouse is certainly a team that a map that TT9 are able to play and do like playing.
I think, again, it comes down to the basics, doesn't it? Those fundamentals. And if TT9 are able to get some of those fundamentals over the line, then they might have a chance at picking up a few more rounds. We've seen them be relatively competitive already this stage. We just haven't seen them have that bite to get a win.
Does NPL prepare you to play Clubhouse in EOL, is the question.
Yeah, I think a lot of things could prepare you to play
Leader actually got a really nice 1v2, I want to say, against Heroic on Clubhouse in MPL. Yeah. So he's going to be more than used to playing it. He won his team a game. 10-star that was, when he played it.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of swaps.
A little bit of recent history. I know you'll go way back with the history, but that was in this current MPL season.
I'm too old to keep up with what happens now.
Oh, okay.
I've hit 28. That's it. Well, I'm almost 29.
Fair enough.
Damn. You really have
29 soon, actually, yeah?
Yeah.
Month or 2?
Wait, I need to remember when my birthday is.
Younger than me.
Milos has a hard time remembering his birthday.
He can remember all these things, but he can remember back to the Chinese, whatever it was that he was trying to talk about earlier.
I was there. Lubu, best friends. There you go. I know Kalkal knows exactly what I'm talking about for those who are very interested in the history of China, that's very debated if it was real or not. But anyways, that aside, it can be very nerdy in many ways here on the desk. But Jack and Ollie, thank you very much. Sorry for that short delay, but our game is ready. Navi versus TT9. We'll toss it to our casters. It's Des and Ace. Enjoy.
Welcome for the first game of the day. You got me and Tim for 3 games in a row today. You lucky sods. Tim, how are you feeling today, big man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to the 3 in a row, Des. Basically, anywhere I can spend more time with you. It was 2 games last week. It's 3 this week. That's better for me.
Oh, mate, I just love saying foie or core. Hang on. You know what the best thing is? I think Fresh and Ollie don't realise I can still hear everything they're saying. And they've walked out the room saying, Des, he gets a little bit insufferable sometimes, doesn't he? Just heard him say everything.
Rumbled.
Because it's the foie, it's the core. I'll just keep on layering it in. We'll have a wonderful day. Tim, first game coming up, as Fresh mentioned on the desk. This was a game that we had earlier in the year where Navi won 7-2. But things could not be any different between these two sides now. A few roster changes have come in for Navi, especially. For me, all bets are off. It's a blank slate. This could be an absolute banger.
I think you're right, Des, and this comes back to something that I've said previously, and that is it doesn't matter necessarily the quality of teams, and I'm not saying that these teams don't have quality because we know that they've got ability, but they haven't been putting up the best, most consistent performances, particularly on the side of TT9. They've not been winning games. But what I've always said, if you've got 2 evenly matched teams, you're going to have an entertaining game of Siege. No 2 ways about it. And I think that's the sort of area, that's the category that this game falls into today, is 2 teams that are actually going to be really pretty evenly matched. And I think this is, as you say, going to be a slugfest, especially somewhere like Clubhouse. I wouldn't expect to see a massive map advantage for either. And, you look at the side of TT9, they've lost 3 games, fair enough, but they've secured at least 4 rounds in every game, Des. They've come close.
Yeah, and just going back to Clubhouse for a second, for both teams, it's kind of in the midfield. It's a 3rd to 5th preference map, which, being honest, when you're looking at how teams tend to ban in a best of 1, they're removing 4 of the maps either away from their opponent or their own weak maps. So you do end up in that kind of 3 to 5 range, so I'm not too surprised to see us going here. I did, however, DM Leader just before this game started and said, hey, Clubhouse, why? And he was like, they banned all the juicy maps. And I was like, so that's it. We just go back to the basics. And he was like, yep. And I was like, sweet. Makes sense to me. So let's get into things. Starting off on the defensive side is Navi, as we've already touched on. Tim, they're going to kick things off inside Gym and Bedroom, a site that has really risen into popularity with the fall from grace of Cash and CC. Really, Gym and Bedroom and the basement are the 2 main sites on this map now.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing Gym and Bedroom come along as a primary choice is definitely getting tasty. It's getting spicy because, as you say, that signals it. That's the big telling point. You know, yeah, you can say, well, this team likes it a bit more. Maybe that team prefers Cash CCTV, that one with Syntape Bar and such. But at the point where teams are coming in with it as number 1 primary choice, then, yeah, you are saying that has definitely risen to the top of the pile along with Basement. So we're going to see a hold in Cash and CCTV by the looks of it. It looks like we might actually see a rehost first. We've got a call for it, but that'll need to go through the admins, so we'll see what happens with that. But it looks like Navi are shaping up to hold on to Cash and CCTV side of things. They're going to be trying to lock that down, basically, just to try and prevent the attack coming in from multiple angles. They don't want to be suffering, too much pressure from everywhere. So the longer they can hold on to that east side of the map, the better. It also prevents the window push as well, because as we've said before, they've got control of that CCTV window. So then the attackers need to be careful because they know there's always the opportunity for that little poke onto their flank from the window.
I really enjoy this setup on this site, and it's been around since the dawn of the game, really. But it's like the saying goes, there are 3 things that are certain in life: death, taxes, and an extended hold on Gym Bedroom. That definitely was a thing. Don't question it, Tim. The reason for that being is that when new players come to watch the game, or new viewers, for example, sit down, and we get to talk through this kind of hold, it just makes sense. The areas that might be trying to extend into out towards Cash and CC, with the idea of protecting the window, which then protects onto the south balcony, you kind of then start to really appreciate the game of chess that sort of forms inside of Siege itself. And that game of chess sometimes can just be, well, ignore it all and just go straight in through Jacuzzi, Wolves style, but often teams will have to fight over that east extension first and foremost.
Yeah, exactly that. It's about burning. Ultimately, extensions are about just burning more time, giving more utility for attackers to get through, giving more manpower for them to get through, and ultimately giving you a secondary option to defend your site. And sometimes you'll even see teams go as far as playing completely in those extensions. We'll comment on it. They've actually given site up. They're playing for the retake. It is a defensive strategy. Allow the attackers in, allow them to get that diffuser down with a specific plan in mind of how you can use those positions of power to be able to push back in and get that site control back. Get those kills that you need to disable that activated diffuser. It's sort of like letting the attackers play their final card and you're ready to pounce on it. You're ready to overturn it. But I don't think that'll be the case. They're not going to be giving sight up here, but the extension will stay firmly in place, I would expect, for at least half of the round.
And always the inevitable question now that we're in stage 3 is, do we see vertical nade play? That was a big thing last stage. Teams bringing along 6, sometimes even 8 frag grenades has really dropped out the meta now, as only 4 operators have them on side, and you tend to see 1 or 2 of those banned away or just not picked at all. So we're in a spot where vertical nades aren't so present, but as far as I recall, I don't want to say it was last week, it could have been back in Playday 2, TT9 were one of the teams that were still making use of vertical nades quite aggressively, to the point that you were like, it felt like a team was really just trying to force them to work. But then on the other side, against their opponents, they also started using vertical nades. So I was like, oh, vertical nades aren't dead. They're just fewer in number and so have to be used much more effectively. So you could even see a little bit of play around bar downstairs coming through to put the focus on those vertical nades heading skyward.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's certainly an opportunity for a little bit of a comeback, a little bit of a resurgence. As you say, we've seen them drop off. I don't think that's necessarily down to the effectiveness of vertical nades. We know that they are still effective against personnel. It's the utility particularly that's been impacted by recent changes. So they are still useful. But what we have seen is a shift away from operators like Finker. Maverick lost the nades. You know, there's fewer nades, and I know Maverick is banned out here, but the point I'm making is there's fewer nades available across the popular operators. So therefore, we've got fewer nades in the lineup. The nades that are there are maybe needed for other things. You know, prior, like you said, as you might have had 6, you might have had 8 nades. So yeah, you can come and you can try 4 vertical kills. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't matter because you've still got 2 or 4 nades to blow up the deployable shield, to take out the bulletproof camera, to deal with that utility inside a site that you need to. When you're coming along with only a small number of nades on the attacking side, you need them for that utility, so you don't have that luxury anymore of being able to give the vertical nades a try. It makes it more difficult. So they are still absolutely possible. I got a beauty. I'm not to toot my own horn, Des, but I got a beauty on Oregon the other day inside a ranked. It's not a big thing, Des. It's not a big thing. But it was an absolute beauty onto an Azami inside of dorms, just from inside of a security room. So it's definitely still possible. But I think it's more down to the change in operator lineups that we're seeing and the reduction of overall nades. They now have more value on site than being able to just chance your arm, roll your dice, and see if you get a kill.
Exactly what I was going to say. Oh, look at this. Oh, I love this. I love it. It's like little leapfrogs. Who's going jumping down first?
Where's
They're
the
going to
mission?
smash their way through and just try and hit the site because as far as they're aware, there's a big focus on the other side, but 3 are in. Team kills galore, potentially. No! They find 2 kills. They lose 1 in the process, but they've got sight, and Navi are nowhere to be seen. That nade that we were speaking about being used more to protect the backside there stops someone pushing in through construction, but the diffuser is down inside of office, Tim. They've got to recover that. For now, they'd rather hold the angles and wait for Navi to come pushing back through, of which they are starting to do. Skiddy's in a spot to be able to fight for the diffuser, sees a man and finishes him off, and suddenly things aren't looking so good for TT9.
No, absolutely not, because as soon as Navi knew that diffuser was there, you saw that collapse back onto site, just stopped. Kayak, he manages to find that kill onto a mission, so all of a sudden, from a position of power, Exodus is now fighting from behind. He's going to try to take the man in logistics. Absolutely not, says Skiddy. He closes him down, and, you know, hats off to TT9 for taking the chance, for, you know, risking it. We love to see those players. That's what entertainment is about, but unfortunately, it was always going to be difficult. As soon as Navi knew that diffuser was down in logistics, that was pretty much round over, because as you saw, they were collapsing back to site, and as soon as they see that, that's the punctuation mark. Slow down. We don't need sight. We've got the diffuser.
Just that tiny little bit of miscommunication, effectively, right? The team kill came through, and honestly surprised there weren't a couple more. with
I was
3 or 4
say
people.
they were lucky there was only one.
Honestly, they'd have tried to kill one player on Navi and probably had to cut through 3 of their own to be able to even get a shot off in the first place. But again, I appreciate the intent, like you say. They tried something, it didn't work out. Can't knock it every single time. Now we go down to that secondary site that I mentioned, a basement being one of the 2 main sites. Then it's not so much guesswork. You can go and look back at what teams have done historically, but that's when you have that hard choice between bar and stage, a site that a few teams have employed and ran pretty well, or potentially cash and CC, which many teams fear defending these days because of how easy it is to attack.
Exactly that. You know, we see that east wall opened up in double quick time, especially with Thatcher on the board. Interestingly, for those at home, keep your eye on that. Nico has played Thatcher in both rounds so far. It's always an interesting one to watch out for when he's not banned. His ban rate is so high. It's, you know, fascinating to watch his pick rate when available, and so far he's on 100%, and for good reason. We've got the EMP impact nades, we know that, but they have to be very specifically used. The radius of effect is quite small. You've got to know where the gadget is if it's, you know, something Kaid's banned out, but if it's an electrical, if it's a mute jammer, you've got to be aware of just where it is so you can land that impact in the right spot. Thatcher, he doesn't have those problems. We see the mute jammer there just stopping the Gemini decoy from coming into cash, and that is going to help Navi stay in position on top floor. Let's not forget they're defending basement here, so this is a nice 3-floor roam from Navi. They're going to burn as much time as they can.
Oddly enough, these are the kind of moments when you look at, I'll tell you, this is too easy. Tev finds one for himself, but I was going to say, oh no, Tev! You can't do him like that. Diffuser's down once again. But I was going to say, these are the kind of spots where attacking teams sometimes go, well, they've got 2 or 3 players off site here. Let's just go and smash site here, going through dirt, drop down through blue. But they've chose to go and fight the roamers, and you can see why roaming on this map is so rewarding. Exodus sadly taking out his own drone there on the way through is going to have to make use of the decoy to get some information. Kayak looking to challenge around bar, but Navi, for the most part, start have torn TT9 asunder. 3 down inside 90 seconds. Essentially still full control of the map. It's not looking good for the Bears.
No, absolutely not. They've got so much work to do here. Navi can just start slowly retiring back to site. They don't even need to take risks in doing so. If they come up against one of those TT9 players, they just hit the pause button. They just wait where they are. They burn out a little bit more time. As it stands, I think all 5 have now got themselves back down. I can see 4. No, I was just going to ask this question. Where is number 5? Because Navi have still got a man above bar. And if TT9 don't recognise that, Des, it is going to be over for them.
All right, well, they've got themselves some sort of control down main stairs, but the problem is there's going to be 2 or 3 players looking to challenge you down every single angle. Hatch also being open up here as we're getting towards that last 40 seconds or so. And Exodus is starting to make his move. In towards Moto he goes, with support coming in from above. But if they manage to pull off any kind of plant in here, it would be an absolute miracle. Ted makes it a 3K in the round, was going for the 4th, but a mission finds him first. Only for Skitty to get the close out. 2-0 to Navi.
Going well so far for the side of Navi. Now, I'm going to say something here, but I'm going to preface it very, very carefully. I am not being critical of Mission, and I'm not saying that he's not going to have a good game, but what I am going to say is at this point, I'm starting to wonder, we've been saying it for a few weeks now, what happens to TT9 if Mission doesn't have a big day? So far, little bit quiet. It's only 2 rounds in, and that's why I prefaced it by saying I'm not being critical yet. And I wouldn't be critical of him at all, even if he does have a bad day. The thing is, this is the point. He can't turn up and drop 15 to 20 kills every single play day. That's not going to happen. So TT9 needs somebody else to step up. And if this is the day that Mission cannot deal those sort of numbers against Navi, that's where the questions are going to be answered, or potentially not. Who on the side of TT9 is going to step up? Because right now, Des, it's nobody.
That's it, and it's been the concern for them across a number of weeks. The number of, we've had 3 games down. I think after pretty much every single one, all of us have been like, wow, Mission was great. Had a 3K, a 4K, an ace, for example. Had 14 plus kills in every single game. Like, wow, he's really a great player. But as you say, if he's not showing up on the day, who is then going to step in towards that spot? And that question will be asked now, I imagine, until we start seeing some big changes in TT9, either in terms of roster or in terms of playstyle, because otherwise it does feel like they're sort of middling things out. Let's see how they do in round 3, though, if they can figure things out on what is technically the offsite, as mentioned earlier on. Cash and CCO bar and stage are the 2 choices that you get, and Navi have put their stake in the ground on bar and stage. Not that that means they won't roam, of course, Tim. They've got a full setup on the upstairs here featuring castle barricades. They're just really trying to lock things down. Also making use of the bandit, interestingly. I think it's onto the single wall inside of construction itself, just to stop the attackers opening up that wall and getting a long line of sight through towards bedroom.
Yeah, I think bar and stage is a good choice for Navi here. We've just seen them have a great performance up on the top floor. Absolutely decimated TT9 as they tried to cut the roam game out. So now they're doing essentially the same thing. They're not doing it over on garage and CCTV side. It's going to be more on bedroom and construction side, but they want to achieve the same thing. They want to keep top floor away from TT9. And, I can absolutely understand why they've said, let's just double down. Let's rinse and repeat. Let's try and do the same thing. If they defend CCTV cache, it becomes a little bit of a different ball game and they can't play it in quite the same way. So for the time being, Navi holding on pretty well, but better progress from TT9 than we've seen in previous rounds. They've managed to push Navi back out of construction, which is one of the key areas here that they need to deal with. Step 1 is complete effectively. They need to keep pushing on across top floor now, but Skitty isn't going to make it easy, as that man I picked up on at the beginning of the round as a Mission finds himself off the board.
Does he fancy this? How much does he fancy it? Skitty went for it for a second there, but not quite managing to finish Exodus off. Has lost about half his HP though, so still come off worse for wear in that small brief exchange. You saw these members of TT9 as well being flagged by the Vault Cam coming out of Nafe. Yet the fact that we've spent 2 minutes, Tim, and they've only just about started to get control on the east side and started to open the windows up, it's a little bit nerve-wracking for them, I think.
Yeah, that's it. They've done nowhere near enough work at this point. And that's not going to help us. Skitty, he manages to take down the half health that Exodus had, but the trade comes in from Cider. There is something there. There's a glimmer of hope for TT9 as they continue to try and take control of the top floor. Nico, he's going to get flashed, unfortunately, pushes into logistics. Leader gets 1, Leader gets 2, and leads the way in round 3 as he helps push Navi towards another round win. Cider, he moves in, but he's just trying to clear out the top top floor now, cut down by Nif, and that is going to be round 3 for Navi, and a clean sweep of defensive sites.
The thing is, in the first round, maybe I would have looked at it, and even the second and been like, all right, look, you've seen TT9 try some mad stuff. They tried a full clear, for example. They've tried this 4-man drop, and it hasn't worked out. I think in round 3 there, you've just really started to see the difference as well. Navi are looking so confident, Tim, so brave and willing to take these gunfights. You know, Skitty spent the entire round staring at a window, waiting for someone to appear so he could take a gunfight. Whereas normally on most teams, you'd see, for example, someone tucking behind the weights, or they'd hang around inside a jacuzzi corridor and try and not expose themselves to windows. But Navi are actively looking to go for gunfights, and sometimes, sure, it's going to cost them. You saw Skitty die at the longer angle to Scyther, for example, when he got the kill all the way through from Cash, all the way down to bedroom, straight through in towards Jim. So there will come a point where they get punished by that, and no doubt, well, maybe we will lose a round or 2 in this game as a result. But at least for now, the aggression they're showing and how they're giving nothing to TT9 for free is really good aggressive siege.
Let's see if it continues there, shall we? Round number 4 is underway. We're heading into the action phase. Teb is underneath, along with Nath. Goyo and Echo. Nath's going to head himself back upstairs. I'm just interested to see what Teb does. He's going to head all the way down. The reason I'm particularly interested in him on the Goyo, he has Nitro in hand. If you're newer to watching Seed, have a look at Seejo. Look over to your right-hand side. Teb up at the top, his player card. Just underneath where you've got that beautiful picture of Goyo, you're going to see the utility that he's carrying with him, and that is the Nitro cell, little icon there. So that can be thrown onto those destructible floors, ceilings particularly. So if he can creep his way up into bar later in the round, and there's TT9 players on that upper floor above him, could be an easy cheap kill, could be a double kill, could be even more catastrophic. Something that TT9 need to be very, very aware of. And I don't feel like their drone game has been the best so far, Des.
It's a very limited use of reinforcements, it feels, for the most part on this side of the map, where normally you see a full-on lockdown over here from the defenders, right? Committing very little themselves out towards the site itself. Whereas it feels here some have been held onto and potentially even used on downstairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I thought maybe we would have seen a bit more reinforcements out towards the east, but no, it does mean that it's quite easy to move through for TT9 for the most part here. No bandit on side this time round from leader also means that opening up that exact long angle where Skitty died to Scyther in the previous round is much easier and quicker. But you get a real strange sense of deja vu here, essentially, Tim, where, again, there's a lot of focus to do inside about a minute and a half or so. Just got themselves on that east side, have started to get some control, but now the denial game will begin.
Exactly that. Kite's got another impact in pocket, so they need to be very careful here.
By the way, they've got no Selmas, nothing.
They've got no Selmas left. This is their one chance to get logistics wall open. WTG, he's going to try and place that lower down the wall to keep it safe, but she's going to take a little bit of manipulation of that soft surface in front to try and get it done.
We tested
there
this.
We go. Yeah, the nesting absolutely does not work.
No, it doesn't.
Putting it lower down the wall can do sometimes. However, Kayak's throw is good, and he gets his splash radius right, takes off the exothermic, and that is logistics.
I tell you what, this is horrific, because you need to have some kind of control inside Logi. Like, whether or not they send someone up on the roof and have them drop in, that's probably the best next alternative they've got. But this makes it so risky to attack into. They have found a kill and are starting to looking for a plant here, mind you. A skill kill comes back the other way, but they're in behind the bed because there's no one inside a gym as the C4 comes through. That's the kind of play you're looking through as Kayak is still trying to take the challenge. Scyther stepping over the body of his dead comrade, stepping here for a plant as well. WTG on the swing finds one down as well, makes it a second. It looks like TT9 may have just about done enough. I said they might find a round or 2 on the way through, but now in a 2 versus 3 for Navi, this is looking dicey.
Certainly is. That's Ted needing to cut his man down there. Needs to level that up at 2 versus 2, but can't. WTG and Exodus managed to close out the round in the post plant. It's well played from them. It was interesting to see Teb hit that Nitro. I picked up on him in the early round, and the reason I pick up on it again, was it round winning? Not this time. However, it just shows us that TT9 are not dealing with the entire map. They're not using the drones, they're not picking up on Teb, and they're not preventing him coming back and hurting them like that. That could have been a very different situation. They were fortunate in where the diffuser went down. There was the opportunity for Scyther to get in there and get that plant going again. So it worked out for them. But if they continue to leave players out in the map, not just today, but in future play days, they will get punished and they will lose rounds because of it. So TT9, you got that one done, but make sure that you learn the lesson.
Alrighty, let's see how things go back down in the basement here. I think for TT9, despite being at what felt like a massive, if not catastrophic, deficit in terms of not having control of Logi, to be able to pull that off still was quite impressive. But they did enough and showed again the importance of that south balcony, and therefore why a roam out towards Cash and CC, or the extended hold, is so important for the defenders. Now, last time around we were on this site, we had a lot of aggressive roaming all around the map. Navi had 2-3 players hanging up around Cash CC, for example. Here, they've got out of dodge pretty down quick. We're looking to find a couple of drones. They've only managed to take out one, but now most of them have dropped back down towards site. One on main stairs, which I imagine means we stall. In fact, no, I can see him inside of dirt. That's all 5 players back on site incredibly quickly.
30 seconds into round 5, we've already got the east breach opened up, so that's going to allow that top floor clearance to begin. One goes into construction as well, as Nico tries to move in. But as you said, this is the thing. It's smart play from Navi, Des, because they're dining out on the success of previous rounds here, is the way that I would see it. This is a free meal for them. You know, they've just burnt a minute for absolutely nothing. And it's because they hurt TT9 so badly from this top floor previously that they have no choice this time but to come in and make sure 100% that everything is clear.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and thinking, you know, everyone back on site after 20 seconds or so feels a little bit odd. I think the main reason why they've done it is because they didn't bring the mute this time around. They've changed up a couple of things. For example, the Maestro's on side for this site this time around. I don't think they had smoke last time. They were very much committed to this roam strat. Whereas they're very concerned that if they go and sit upstairs, for example, with nothing to stop drones raining in on them, they will get caught in pinches and finished off. So instead, they're trying to play a much more defensive style with these C4s, trying to play denial potentially onto the exothermics, of which both have now been used. So I'm looking at those impacts down the back pockets of Teb and Kayak and thinking, Emission, you ain't getting kitchen hatch open, buddy. It's staying closed.
Yep, more than likely. 3 Selmas, so it can get done, but as you say, they're going to have to deal with those players underneath. If they open up enough of the soft floor above them, which they're now doing with those soft breach charges, they might actually get away with this, because it'll just make it too perilous for anybody to go and stand under there. That's exactly what they're doing. You can see now Emission just watching that angle. One Selma goes off, there's the second. Well played, TT9.
Yeah, really good making use of the verticals there to deny Navi the chance. So those impacts that are now left in back pocket, really not that of any use, because all of the exothermics have been used, all the Selmas have been used, bar one, but they've got open what they needed to get opened up. I don't know if they were expecting a main stairs opening in towards the church wall, and that was going to be the point of focus, but for now, TT9 have been left to sort of get on with their own devices, but it does lead us down to about 35 seconds left. Exodus coming down, a swing comes in from Skiddy, but the trades back and forth are ludicrous. A 3v2 for Navi as one more inside of sight, as Nath just catches Emission's head on the drop through with the silenced out rifle. One left standing, it's WTG, who found 4 kills in the last round, but nothing since. Will this become a second round where he finds any kills? You'll find out in just a few seconds, as he's still trying to find a kill or 2. Looks left in, he'll find one for free. 1v1. Can he find out? Tebu sat at the very, very back here. He hits the deck. He's got about 8 seconds to play with. He's going to try and make a plant work out, which means Teb has got to move. I don't think he knows that he's planting here, Tim. This suddenly starts looking very, very precarious. Teb's going to step on through. WTG in a fantastic position. All he's got to do is just sit and wait. Let him come for you. Let the Alder do the talking. Let him know where you are and get the swing. WTG, a fantastic 1v2.
Fantastic play. Absolutely beautiful from WTG. Really used his smarts there, got himself into blue, finds that first kill, and then took the perfect opportunity to put the diffuser down. He knew where the player was. He knew that they were over at bar. Now, whether there were some drones in there maybe to support him, so he knew if he was going to be pushed or not, I don't know. But regardless, he's going to hear Maestro coming from an absolute mile off. He's a chunky boy, Des. He makes a lot of noise, especially if he's on the run. And that's what made that 1v1 definitely winnable for him. He's got a very noisy gun in the Alder. Every step he takes, you're going to be hearing it. And WTG used everything to his advantage there. Really well played. And TT9, they are rising from the ashes at the minute. 3 rounds in, they looked done. They look cooked. And right now, they're looking like it might have actually just been cooked to perfection. They've got themselves 2 rounds. They might just tie this up at the half.
what I'm really enjoying is WTG was a player that back on the old roster, back when he was on Virtus Pro, obviously now currently known as Outsiders, he was the only player in a game they had on Cafe where it was attackers could win nothing. He was playing things like a banner, yet was the go-to player who would run at White Corridor, for example, find a couple of kills and really open the round up. And he's not really a player we think of when we think of great support players in Europe, for example. I wouldn't ever go as far as saying he's like up there competing with the likes of Shepard, of Primetime Breeday, people who play that sort of role. But I do see this capability in him every now and then, and every few games where he does pop off and play ridiculously well. It might not be super consistent, but this could be one of those games where that question too, who stands up in a mission instead, the answer may well turn out to be WTG.
Certainly could be. It's looking likely here on Clubhouse at the least. We're going to be in the final defensive round for Navi now. It's going to be back to Jim and Bedroom. We saw them win it in round 1, but lose it in round 4. 50-50 win rate for them so far. TT9 lessons to be learnt from round 4. They allowed Teb back onto the flank to hit him with the nitro, to put the diffuser down on the ground, but they were still able to overcome that setback and get themselves the win. So Navi this time just holding on to Cash and CCTV a little bit more. Nath is still in there. He's got support from Catwalk. They really don't want to let this east side go this time.
They don't, but depends exactly how hard TT9 are happy to fight for it. They've got a couple of nades in back pocket still to use. And by the way, 9 breaching rounds and a sledge. Maybe a little bit excessive. Exodus charging on up, but that's exactly why we love those wee-woos. Gives away the information, saw it's a trade, but you still lost one man. Down goes Exodus, so Fear off the board, and Teb in the same spot as back in round 1 finds himself a freebie. A second, make it a third, why not? It's Kayak to collect that one, but 2 kills come in for TT9, and suddenly, Tim, things aren't looking as peachy as maybe we first thought. Not forgetting that this isn't even the site. This is just the starting point of this attack, and already we're down to a 2 versus 2.
Yeah, maybe Navi not using those man advantage situations as well as they could. We keep seeing them get these couple of kills and then TT9 are able to rein them back in, and it's quite often this situation of 3v3, 2v2, and it's coming down to a bit of a scrap on site, and that's what it's likely to be again. A point to the credit for Navi is that they've got Kayak alive and in sight here. We know that he's got a good brain for the game, and he should be able to play around this, and then they've got the gun skill of Leader. So this should be doable for Navi. Looking at the health on the side of TT9 as well. WTG very low, 2 bullets max. We'll see him done. Nico also had a bit of chip damage, whereas Kayak and Leader, they are fully juiced at the minute, but Kayak just gives his position away, Des. WTG knows he's there, he's going to ping him out, but Kayak moves away and the opportunity passes by.
He's back again. Oh, the timing is unreal! Kayak finds the man with the diffuser as well. Nico, the last one left standing, staring now in the face of 2 with just 15 seconds to play. We tend to know how these ones end out. It's coming on to the end of a shotgun, finds the one man, and understandably Kayak is like, get me out, drops down the stairs. There'll be not enough time for Nico here, I imagine. He'll try and make the stick, but just about a couple of milliseconds too late. Will not be able to make it happen, and Navi hang on by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, he knew that planting in the position, if anybody at home is screaming at him, just hit plant immediately. Planting in that position that the diffuser was in was as good as giving the round away anyway. It didn't matter because the hatch was open. Kayak just goes underneath. He's going to take his man down. Kayak knew exactly where that diffuser was. So no choice but to move across there. And that's going to be round for Navi. But again, Des, even in that advantageous situation, 2v1, they still got reeled back in. There was still a chance for TT9, and Navi just need to be a little bit more clinical in those late rounds. You got to feel for WTG. That's a situation I've been in a million times. He's stood on gym window, he's watching that angle, he sees his man, he gives it another 20 seconds. Surely he's gone. Surely he's left. I'm now going to go in through the window and think about a plan, and the second that he does and he takes his ADS off that corner, Kayak comes round and shoots him. It's siege timing to a T, and I feel for WTG.
It is one of those. You sit and watch that angle for the longest time, then make your move, and yep, that's when the swing comes through. Absolutely brilliant and wonderfully frustrating. We're going to start things off on this second half here for TT9 on the defensive side. Going to the site that shall not be named, the one that we referenced earlier on that many teams are now preferring to avoid, instead opting to go into the basement or over to gym. Instead here, no, we're going instead in towards Cash and CC. This is going to be a telling round for me, I think, Tim. Navi, they started out strong. I think TT9 will feel cheated that they couldn't get themselves a 3-3, if not 4-2. So, realistically, Navi have got to start strong, pull us ahead to 5 and 2, and show us they can get the full 3 points.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I feel like TT9 have maybe given them an opportunity to do that here. They've gone to CCTV and Cash. It's a site that we've spoken about. Navi chose not to go here. It's one that attackers have got better and better at over the last 12 months particularly. So it's not going to be easy for TT9 to hold on. It feels like a roll of the dice, but it could pay dividends if they hold on here. Because think about it, they can then go to Church Arsenal. They can then go to Gym and Bedroom, to those more popular 2 sites. And so TT9 could well find themselves off their first defensive rotation coming out 5-4. So it's all up to Navi here. They can't give anything away. They've got to get this round done.
Well, what I'll give is a comment. I was going to say, I commended Navi for being aggressive in the early round. TT9 have tried that, but Navi, after running it for 6 rounds themselves, have got the perfect read and have dealt with 2 players super early on, giving themselves still over a minute and a half to play within a 5 versus 3 dream start to the half. Make it a 5v2, why not?
And not even taking a lot of damage, to be honest. Teb and Nath a bullet each, but certainly not the end of the world, not when you're now in a 5v2. The problem that TT9 have got here is that Navi have got the manpower, they've got the time, and they can actually separate and they can come on both sides here. They're probably not going to necessarily worry too much about dealing with Cider. They can push up red stairs, they can push in through construction, they can just make life a nightmare for Nico, take him down, and then Cider's left out in the cold inside a garage just having to deal with that situation. Alternatively, they do the same thing into garage. They take Cider out and they leave Nico out in the cold. So one way or another, they just need to focus on one of these players at once.
Well, they found the one, and the man a little bit blind as well, but I say that, and 2 come in very quickly from Navi, closing down on the last couple. For an unfortunate loss to lose the 5th man, or the 1st man, I guess, in the round for them, but a comfortable closeout in the 1st. And like I said, this is the kind of stuff I wanted to see. If Navi had a good, decisive first attack, you start to feel confident for them. TT9 clearly feeling less confident, calling their tactical timeout.
Big gamble for TT9. As I said, going to that site, we know it's not one of the most powerful defensively, and that's what I was concerned about. Navi come in, get themselves around, and all of a sudden it's 5-2. You're 2 rounds away from losing the match. So big risk for TT9. Had it paid off? Yes, I think it puts them on the front foot, really gives them a strong position. But right now, they're fighting for their very lives inside of this. They're going to take the time out, as you've said. They need somebody else to step up. Again, it's that one-man show. Yeah. This time it's not a mission, it's WTG, but where is everybody else?
It's always the nervous thing. It's the kind of thing I speak about for teams that are at the top. I think about like TSM back at SI when I say this. When one of their front 3 players had a quiet game, you could rely on like Gio or Charla to go absolutely nuclear and carry them through a game. Or you'd rotate one of the other 3 players into the sort of frontline role, and they just always had someone who was on their game, playing well. The battle kind of comes in for TT9. That I know WTG's had a good game, but let's not also lie about this. He's had 1 round where he got a 4K, otherwise he's sat at 4 and 5. There's not really anyone on the team stepping up particularly. So even when a mission's offline, for example, there's just no one in particular that you can turn to and say, okay, it's your turn to play well, your turn to drag us through some tough rounds. On the other side especially, Skiddy's had a field day, Teb's had some good kills, Kayak's got involved, across the board. We've seen involvement, and for TT9, I don't know, it's hard to believe when you don't see it across so many playdays that more than one player can step up.
Yeah, exactly that. I think, as you say, yes, WTG played well, but ultimately we're not talking, 15 kills at this point, which is when we say Mission's been playing well, that's the sort of numbers that he's been putting up. So, definitely needing a little bit more from everybody on the side of TT9. They are still in this, but Navi right now, they're going to be smelling blood in the water, I'm sure. They're going to be circling, looking for those full 3 points here. They've had a reasonable start so far to this EUL season. Navi, not looking terrible. Middle of the pack in 7th position as it stands, but 3 points here will rocket them up to 3rd for the time being, depending on other results. So, it's there for them. They know that the reward is there, and it just feels like these players can taste it at the minute. Now, they're going to have to try and shut down this roam game from TT9. Make sure that they get them cleared out before they start pushing down onto the basement. Skiddy is working to do exactly that, and right now, what they're doing is they're cutting TT9 off.
Yes. And that's the beautiful part for so many defensive, attacking teams. They've got this ability to find and isolate individual players and shut them out of the game or out the round. it just gives you the kind of 5v4s, 5v3s, even 5v2s like we saw a little bit in the last round as well. So for TT9, what are you going to do? This is normally when you're playing behind something like a mute jammer. I love the really high-placed exothermic there, by the way, just to deny away the possibility of something like a jammer blocking things out for them straight on the way through. And now they've got all these walls opened up inside 90 seconds. Again, good pace being shown, but we've got to see where the attack is going to come from next because they don't have that east side control. The big focus of that first half on this site was always looking out towards Cash and CC. Skitty may even find himself getting shot in the back here if he's not too careful.
Well, this is it, and this is the exciting bit now. As I said, they've got Exodus cut off effectively here, so it's how they deal with him now. They've started the work on towards site. They've got their access in through Jacuzzi Wall, so they don't necessarily need construction side here. But Exodus, he was cut off, and he should have been cut off, but ultimately is able to find a kill onto Nath, and that is maybe just a little bit of taking the foot off the gas from Navi. They know he's down there. They've been covering the stairs, but they haven't gone ahead and tried to get that kill. Teb, he's going to find one back onto side. That leaves us 4v4, but Exodus still not dealt with.
This is the issue. They know he's here, though, because they've drawn him out earlier on, so they know he's dancing around downstairs. At this point, it is a conscious choice to ignore him and say, look, boys, we can't go chasing down into the depths to find this one man that's roaming around. Let's go and hit site whilst he's distracted elsewhere. And by the looks of it, they're ready to march inside a site here, Tim. I don't think TT9 are fully aware. They've actually stepped inside the room itself. They get the long-range shots off, but can't quite find the man. Exodus now rejoining them after coming up red stairs. They're in a spot to fight, but Navi still have the numbers advantage as the plant was going down, but they've peeled away and want to relocate. Kayak tucking himself inside a bedroom corner. They know where Exodus is. They've got the one cover on him. Last man inside a construction. Teb with the shutdown. Navi with another well-coordinated round are one away from taking all 3 points.
I like that from Navi. Not one, but two adaptations through that round, showing that they've got multiple plans in how to attack that they can take that decision. Kayak moving his position into bedroom after the initial attempt to plant, but also the way they dealt with Exodus as well. Very, very well worked in that something goes wrong, that's okay. Let's just rotate around. Let's mix it up. Let's do plan B, plan C. And that's what great teams need. They need those multiple options, and Navi looked sharp on there. Exodus, he was a little bit unfortunate. He manages to get Nath. He got himself all the way back to site. It just wasn't impactful enough because the rest of his team didn't step up inside of site.
That's it. And really, as the rounds have worn on, we've seen them getting a little bit tighter between the two teams. The first 4 rounds or so, we still have like 1 or 2 players going down on the winning side. 5 and 6, much closer. 7, very one-sided. That round there also starting to pick up to be a bit more one-sided. So a small lull in the mid-game for Navi, but it feels like now they've really got their pedal back to the metal once again and are showing TT9 what it means to come up against them. Down to the basement we go for what looks to be the very last round, unless TT9 can pull off something special here to win their first defensive round.
Underway we are then in what could be the last round. TT9 looking to get aggressive here. Emission not had the best of days, 3 and 8. Just trying to get something going on that garage door there, but it was a very watered down attempt is what I will call it, on trying to find anybody outside of that door. Obviously not too confident. Exodus waits for the longest time by the kitchen door there, but again, the opportunity just doesn't present itself, and you feel like that's something that's maybe plagued TT9 through this matchup, is just those opportunities not presenting themselves. And Navi are looking pretty good. Look at this progress that Skiddy's making. If he knows his man is here, this is going to be a freebie.
Oh no, Skiddy! They were not the shots to be whipping, my man. That's a C4 in the back pocket of Exodus as well. Call it a gold bar. But no, just about makes it away. And it's even looking here for a potential re-swing back onto Skiddy. But Skiddy's charging on forwards. No! Doesn't expect the man to be so close. And what looked to be such a good start for Skiddy, Exodus puts a stop to.
That's a good turnaround for TT9.
Really good.
You know, really, in many other rounds, that is an opening kill for Skiddy. But as you say, Exodus manages to keep himself alive, keeping Nitro on the board. Just really good utility and good play from him there. So leaving us now in a 5 versus 4. We're going to have the hatches getting opened up. This will be a little bit of a lull for TT9 now. They don't have anybody out in the map particularly. They're just going to have to wait for the round to play out, for the push to come from Navi, and then they will react to it.
That's exactly it. unless they really fancy getting brave up blue stairs, for example, or trying to push their way up main. But if you've got Kayak set at one, no doubt drone watching the other, just doesn't really feel like it's worth the risk. But with this vertical control being established, they can start trying to think about a way forward. But as you said, Tim, I think TT9 are actually in pretty good spots right now. They've got themselves back on site. They've found their opener. It's comfortable. They haven't got to stress too much, but it does give Navi quite a little bit of free agency here to keep on opening things up.
It does. It's not the end of the world to try and turtle up in this site. Absolutely not. Teb going to take a ton of damage inside of the kitchen there, and that puts him low health as well. So things certainly not looking good for Navi here. If it comes down to one of those last 20-second fights, and Nico's just holding an absolutely beautiful angle there between those shelves up to the kitchen hatch just to make things difficult. Nade's going to come out to try and deal with players just inside. No, it's going to be the flashbang that goes rather. Just trying to deal with that utility for the drop to come into blue. Emission needs to just be aware of that, but he's got Nico in support as well. He can switch his attention and play over the top of that deployable shield. Scyther there. Honestly, TT9 know what's going on here.
They've got a great read on. Scyther is unstoppable. I thought he got the first kill, but he didn't, but instead was on the assist. A bit of a team kill to kind of put him to bed, but it doesn't matter. TT9 destroying Navi on the downstairs defense, and we'll see where they head to next.
The problem is, for TT9, as much as that was a good round and a good defence, they can't make any more mistakes. It's 6-3 Navi now, and we've seen, them struggle to hold on to Gym and Bedroom. That makes me concerned that they're going to be, struggling to hold on to CCTV Cash, where Navi won as well. They've got to find wins on one of these sites, or both of these sites, rather, that Navi have already been able to win. And I don't know, TT9, they're just not instilling me with confidence about the depth of their game when it comes to bringing a new idea, a new plan, an adaptation, whereas Navi, they've had the options, they've had the ideas to be able to move around what TT9 are doing. I still can't see Navi not winning another single site on this map.
That's the problem, right? You've got to go through another 3, the full rotation, and then get it up to overtime and potentially do some damage there as well. Navi have got a lot of time and options here to pick from. One of them apparently turning into Kayak being on the Monty. Not something we already gambled on us seeing in this game, but we are going to see it for this site. Probably good chances there, Tim. We see it come charging up through Catwalk, get control of Garage nice and quick, open the East Breach, and look for a nice standard plant there in behind the server stack.
Yeah, I mean, they did struggle to deal with Scyther on the Garage Catwalk last time around. He was one of the players that they were very tentative about pushing. They got the kill at the end of things, not a problem, but it was certainly one of the positions that they didn't have an immediate answer to. So, as you say, definite potential for seeing Kayak going through there. He's going to open up the lower Garage wall with the hard breach charge, so just using the Monty the utility of the Monty there to give that advantage. Mission is in a position here to prevent Kayak from being able to just push up those stairs, so needs to be dealt with.
I don't think that's his goal, though. His whole thing is to be getting in through, likely, the garage door, but just by opening up those 2 panels on the garage itself, you give threat. Like, you don't know when someone's going to come peeking in from those angles and just completely dome you. So playing on the lower area of garage becomes highly risky. So that's the one thing that we've really got to consider here for, I think it was a Mission who's been dancing around. How long can you hold there before someone finds a really cheeky angle onto you?
East Breach is going to be open. Emission just needs to be careful stepping into lounge here. We've seen that Skiddy is on main door. He's ready to apply pressure to these small garage steps. And if Emission's not aware of that, he's going to find himself the wrong end of a knock-knock joke, let me tell you. He's going to be trying to challenge onto blue window at the top of Adam as well. And it's not looking good right now. Nico is down inside a site. I'm not sure exactly how that's come about. I think it's likely to be a nade that's been thrown. There you go. The follow-up comes in from Teb, finds his kill. Skiddy not able to lock down Emission, and that was the battle that I said was important for Emission to pick up.
I mean, I talked so much about Skiddy when he was like 13 and 4. He was destroying everyone. The last couple of shots in the Nook been a bit questionable. 2 kills flying back on the other way as Teb takes a bit of damage across bar as well. And this is what I mentioned, the angles that were opened up by Navi look to maybe try and restrict TT9, but they've started to show their fangs now and bite back.
1 minute left to go, so Navi, for me, just need to take a breather here. They don't want to get carried away. They've got the Monty. That is a big play, but Kayak, he's got himself in a bad position here. Look, Amission's in bottom garage. There you go. It's as easy as that, and that's why I said Amission had to be cleared out from that position before they could push on to the rafters. It was not an option, because all he's going to do is run behind you and get the kill. Exodus finds Teb, and it's now all up to Leader. 40 seconds left to go. He's got the time in his pocket, but he's got 4 kills to find. It's not going to be easy. They know exactly where he's coming into. I guarantee they've heard him coming to stop there. Exodus runs down and gets the kill. Well played from TT9. Navi just clutching at straws a little bit towards the end of that round.
Yeah, absolutely agree, yeah. And I think really, I'm kind of surprised you haven't seen it already, but a tactical timeout for Navi feels like the right time to have it now. You've had a couple of rounds where you've seen that momentum building back up for TT9, and there it is. Navi have just kind of crumbled a little bit on the ideas. In that round there, it was kind of, okay, solo swing this guy, Kayak go and push up here by yourself. They just feel a little bit short on ideas. So I think taking the 60 seconds or so to have a conversation, they know what site they're going into. It's likely going to be gym and bedroom, I think it is, we step into next as part of the rotation. They can plan for that. They can say, right, boys, how are we going to crack this now before we get ourselves going to overtime? Because at that point, it feels like the mental has gone.
Yeah, this is surely the site for Navi. We saw them have, a great round. They got Jacuzzi wall open. Kayak was planting. Jamie rotated to plant bedroom. That tells you how much coverage they had, how much they, had site locked down, that he was able to move from one extreme side of the site to the other to be able to put that diffuser down. It's, that tells you everything you need to know, that he had so much freedom. So this was a good attacking site for Navi. What I would like to see is them deal with Exodus a little bit more directly. Should he or somebody else be playing in that basement position? They gave him too much opportunity to come back up, get the kill onto Nathas, it was, who went down on the Lion. They need to prevent that from happening. If he's down there, get down there in numbers and get him taken off the board.
Alrighty, let's see how this plays out then. Let's see if that tactical timeout was enough for Navi to recover things here and get back on board, or if TT9 have got ideas of their own. I'm looking in towards things like the Bandit that we saw Leader playing back in the first half. I'm seeing the Castle on side once again, so really looks to be a bit of a shutdown for TT9, just trying to control large areas of the map. Think you'll see that extended hold coming into play, and this actually, truthfully, is more what I expected to see. The amount of reinforcements they've actually used out towards the east side here, locking up both of the double walls between sites and the 2 walls that go out on towards the platform, makes it a little bit harder for Navi. They have to invest more time, more of their hard breach gadgets, for example, to get through those walls. So TT9 should fight for it a little more aggressively than maybe Navi did.
Exodus is downstairs once again. He's just in showers at the minute by the looks of things, in the bathroom area, sorry, near kitchen. He's going to be just skulking around and lurking. Like I say, Navi need to recognise that and go in and deal with him, or they need to go very route 1 to site. Dealing with trying to play in that mid-floor, that's where the danger is going to come. If they want to play mid-floor, fine, but they need to make sure that they've dealt with him. Nico, he's going to be at the top of red stairs, trying to hold on to the breach, keep them out of it. He doesn't have a lot of utility on his side necessarily, though, which could be a little bit of an issue for him. He's the one eye. He can keep the throwables away from himself, but doesn't have deployable shield and doesn't have other items that you might expect. This pressure's going to mount on this position very, very quickly.
So just waiting RC to swing there. You've got to be careful if you stay in that angle. They'll just re-swing you again, hopefully take your head off in the process. But again, TT9 really committing towards this east side hold. 3 players, 1 inside of construction with support, but Teb catches a mission on his way back out. 5 and 9 for him this game. It's not been the kind of performance we've gotten used to from a Vision. And now Navi can start getting to work. Exothermic on the ground. Oh, that is really interesting. The whole goal here to obviously get the nice feet angles open up so no one can play inside comfortably. You can get the long angles into construction. That denial coming out is a really spicy commitment towards getting rid of one of those exothermics.
Certainly is. We've still got the man underneath. Don't forget about Exodus. He hasn't been cleared out as of yet. Navi are playing that route 1, as I suggested. They're not playing in the mid-floor, so it might not be the end of the world for them, but they just need to be aware. Exodus does have impact nades in pocket. It won't necessarily be enough to stop a plant like a Nitro would, but it can open up a hole that he can shoot through, and it is going to force any planter to move. What's WTG doing here, Des? He's looking for a run out. He's thinking about getting himself out of strip. He knows that they're on Jacuzzi wall. I don't think they're going to be prepared for this. Ooh, he thinks better of it for the moment.
If the impact goes at range, what did he just use it for? I thought he might be trying something really crazy to make use of the impact nade to try and arc it over and destroy the last exothermic to keep the wall closed out. And maybe he did. He did use the impact, but didn't find anything with it. If he got away with it, though, that would have been something else.
Skiddy is knocking on the door right now. He's stood just inside a construction. He's been waiting patiently for the longest time, and they just need him to have that explosive moment, get in and get kills, but it's not going to happen as Cider manages to cut him down. But Nath, he manages to find the trade there. 3-3-3 as they start to rein in. 3v2 as Teb finds Nico. Teb finds WTG. This is the Teb show right now here in round 11. Could this be it for Navi? 3v1. It is down to him to try and deny this diffuser, as I suggested that he might. Yellow ping's coming out. There's a bit of information. There goes the first. Can he find the shot? No. He's just got that tool chest in his way, but then the second comes in and he wins it, Des, just as I said he might.
That is unreal. You just look in his back pocket, you see 2 impacts, you know what the game plan is. And Navi, the thing is, I don't overly blame them. I can completely align with the idea of you can't spend a minute and a half chasing someone through basement, throwing drones at them, committing players to try and push down them when you've got so much still to do upstairs. And they do try to mitigate it. They move away from Jim, they try and plant on top of the bed, but Exodus still finds the angle and they hold on for another round. We could be in for overtime, Tim, here, unless Navi can crack the downstairs, and that is not an easy feat.
It's not. It's been TT9's best site, realistically, so far. You know, they were in complete command. Now, maybe if Skiddy gets the opening kill onto Exodus, we see a little bit of a different situation, but that's not how it went. They're going to need it, Navi, this time to go that way, because they're going to need the man advantage here. Honestly, Des, I wouldn't have said so, you know, 3 rounds ago, but I can really see overtime coming, potentially.
This is the issue, right? Navi have got to find something, dig down somewhere to be able to turn this back around. I will also give it to TT9, though. We were sat here saying, you know, WTG's had a good couple of rounds, but outside of that, no one's really stepped up. But it does feel like the team are starting to warm into this. And I know warming in this late probably isn't the best thing, but warming in regardless and getting themselves this close to potentially being able to go to overtime is brilliant.
I think we've got an issue in that our observer game has frozen. But just looking at Teb's monitor there, it looks like the round could be continuing at the moment, Des. Everybody intently focused. We'll certainly see what detail we can pick up. Des and I have watched a couple of games of Siege, so, you know, we might just be able to pick up the odd thing here and there. Teb's currently drawn in through the map. I can tell you that much.
I'm trying to watch it in Nate's glasses. Top right corner.
That's even more dedication.
I can't see
I tell you what, Teb's screen I could go for, but if you can catch detail from Nate's glasses, then you are definitely the GOAT.
He's droning out at the minute, mate. I'm pretty sure he's watching for his boys. Teb might be the play, though. I think you're potentially right there. Where is he, Tim? What can we make out of where he's pushing?
It looks like he's in bar at the minute.
Looks like
I would
hallway,
suggest he's gone back into his drones there. So that would suggest to me, and this is all conjecture at this point, you know, we are guessing, that would say to me that Navi are in control of the top 2 floors. If he's getting himself established inside of around bar, around kitchen area, they're obviously happy that top floor is cleared out, and they're looking, don't forget, they're attacking onto the basement. So they're going to be pretty comfortable at that point. And that's actually pretty quick for Navi to have done that. So maybe not looking too bad.
Cool, look at that. We're back in mid-round. You love it. Just as things start to spice up, no one's dead. Absolute dream.
Look at that, Navi have got control of the top 2 floors there. It's as if we've done this before.
Weird that. Look at this big focus, though, coming straight in. This is why you can see the thatch coming into effect. The size of the EMPs are huge. All a church is going to get itself opened up here, hopefully. I say that as they haven't fully gone all the way through. Exodus sitting tight here as well, waiting for someone to come pushing into Moto, but he's got to be wary of the long range here. Pistol out, charges across the opening, and has got himself now safely tucked in, back behind the bomb chassis.
Now, I love this from a viewer perspective. From our perspective, we really don't see Church Wall opened all that often anymore. A lot of the executes we see come through kitchen hatch or come through blue. It is rare, and there was a point in time where the triple wall was the absolute focus all the time. Not the case anymore, so let's see if Navi can make this work now then. Skiddy tries to sneak his way down blue stairs, but the wee woo gives him away, and he doesn't find his man, but Kayak does.
Oh boy.
Ted finds WTG. strategy. Navi have got the advantage, Des. They've got themselves inside a site. They could get a diffuser plant down here. Kayak's going to go for it. Skiddy with an important kill, but Cider, he manages to find one. Nico as well. 14 seconds left to go, and that is the plant confirmed. 2v3 now, but TT9, they've done this before.
It's the West versus East retake is the issue, Tim. Yes, there is a couple of players dug in on the downstairs that TT9 need to push, but Nico and Cider are both pretty low HP. Any step in for a challenge means they get swung from the other side. It's not feeling good to be them right now as we get towards the last 15 seconds or so. Cider, the last one left standing, can do nothing about this. Navi will be able to take it 7-5, and TT9 will feel a little bit robbed, but when it mattered most, Navi stood up. They take all 3 points.
It's honestly, it's really tough for TT9 because I commented coming into this game, they've now lost 4, but they've had at least 4 rounds in every single game. In 3 of them, they've had 5. They've gone as far as they can without getting overtime. But that said, congratulations to Navi on what was not an easy win come the end of things. They had to dig deep there and they got the job done. 3 points, and I believe off some quick maths, that should put them up into about 3rd place, I think.
Yeah, the indicator in our top right corner of the screen was saying 3rd throughout most of the game if they win that one. So yes, they get there for now, but still may find themselves falling down towards, say, 7th place by the end of the evening. But overall, a really good and competitive game for what started out as a bit of a domination stand by Navi. TT9 did fight back in. They've shown other players can perform, but it's still not enough to get that win on the board, Tim.
No, but this is what we expected coming in. I said you've got 2 teams playing at a fairly similar level, and it was always going to be entertainment. Entertainment went up to 11. I really enjoyed that game. It was great to see Navi get the win, but I'd have been equally happy for TT9 after their comeback. You know, a great start to the night.
68-75 rounds on Playday 3. Could this be the start? Playday 4 needs to have a repeat of that. We'll find out after a short break. Back with you soon.